Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a match that literally shattered precedent. We're diving headfirst into the dramatic, historic, and honestly just chaotic events of England's thrilling 3-2 victory over Mexico at the World Cup. The setting, the massive stakes, and the sheer unpredictability of this clash, it absolutely makes it a defining moment of the entire tournament. 10. Just think about that number for a second. Before this match, Mexico had played 10 World Cup matches at the legendary Estadio Azteca. And you know how many they'd lost? 0. They had never lost a single one. It was an absolute fortress. Well, until tonight. Section 1, the unbeaten Azteca Fortress. Look, Mexico came into this knockout match riding a massive wave of confidence. They dominated their group and hadn't conceded a single goal. Not one. And against them, England faced this absolute mountain of hostile variables right from the jump. We're talking about a lung-burning altitude of 2,200 meters above sea level. On top of that, there's a grueling 1-hour storm delay right before kickoff that totally messes with your pre-match rhythm. And, oh yeah, 87,000 roaring Mexican fans willing their team forward from the very first whistle. The physical and psychological odds were just massively stacked against the Three Lions here. Section 2. 98 seconds that changed everything. The absolute chaos of this 6-minute window is just breathtaking. First, in the 36th minute, Declan Rice releases Bukayo Saka, who clips this delicious cross for Jude Bellingham to head home. That right there was the very first goal Mexico conceded all tournament. Then, practically straight from the restart, England presses high, they win the ball back, and Elliot Anderson squeezes a pass through to Harry Kane. Kane crosses it over for Bellingham for the tap-in. That's just 98 seconds later. Boom, 2-0. But Mexico, they rapidly responded in the 42nd minute with this massive volley from Quiñones straight into the roof of the net. So suddenly, it's 2-1 at the half, and it is very much game on again. Section 3. Red card and penalty drama. Okay, let's slow the pace down for a second because the tension here reached entirely new levels. Just when England really needed to establish some control and protect that narrow lead, a major crisis hits. In the 54th minute, Jarell Quansah goes sliding into a tackle on Jesus Gallardo, catching him on the shin. Now, the referee initially thinks it's a fair challenge, but after a really tense VAR review, a straight red card is shown. Suddenly, England is down to 10 men. They're playing at severe altitude, facing the hosts, with 36 grueling minutes plus stoppage time left on the clock. It's pure survival mode. But despite being down a man, England instantly responds. Anthony Gordon gets brought down in the box, and Captain Harry Kane thumps home a penalty in the 60th minute to make it 3-1. Incredible resilience, right? But the relief is incredibly short-lived. Just 9 minutes later, Kane himself is adjudged to have clipped Brian Gutierrez at the exact opposite end of the pitch. Raul Jimenez steps up, converts the penalty. 3-2. You've got 20 minutes to go, and you're playing a man down. Section 4. Bellingham matches Maradona's legacy. While the team was desperately fighting just to hold the line, one player permanently etched his name into the history books. You really have to consider the sheer statistical rarity of what Jude Bellingham achieved tonight. I mean, we have to go back almost 40 years to find the last player to score 2 goals in a single World Cup game at the Azteca. That was Diego Maradona back in 1986 against Belgium in the semifinal, and that was during what most people consider the greatest individual tournament performance in history. Tonight, Jude Bellingham joined that highly, highly exclusive list. But honestly, it wasn't just the goals. Bellingham also pulled out this massive last-second goal line clearance to deny Cesar Montes from a corner kick. With 10 men on the pitch, that defensive intervention was just as critical to surviving the onslaught as his historic brace was to building the lead in the first place. He was unequivocally the best player out there, excelling in both attack and defense. Section 5. The Norway quarterfinal awaits. Now, surviving 36 minutes plus 11 minutes of stoppage time with only 10 men, it takes a brutal, almost unimaginable physical toll on a squad. If you look at the expected goals metric, it perfectly illustrates the wild reality of this game. With Mexico sitting at 1.94 and England at 1.55, mathematically, on paper at least, England survived a match they statistically should have lost. They gave up 2 penalties, they went down a man, got outchanced according to the metrics, and yet they still found a way to win. This monumental effort actually secures England their historic 3rd consecutive World Cup quarterfinal appearance, which equals their best ever streak. And to put a human face to those stats, just think about this stark quote. When Harry Kane attempted to do his post-match interview, he could barely talk. The captain's sheer exhaustion is literally the ultimate proof of England's unprecedented resolve over those final 47 minutes.
They left absolutely everything they had out on that pitch.
So, looking ahead, the road absolutely does not get any easier. On July 11th in Miami, England faces a giant-killing Norwegian squad that, by the way, just eliminated tournament favorites Brazil. So they'll be going up against a highly motivated, well-rested team featuring global superstars like Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard. The stakes somehow only get higher from here. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. Can an England team, completely battered and exhausted from making history with 10 men at the Azteca, actually physically recover in time to face Erling Haaland and Norway? The immense resolve they showed tonight is unquestionable for sure. But this upcoming challenge, it's a totally different beast. Thank you so much for joining me for this breakdown. Keep that question in mind, and we will see you in the next explainer.